Coming up next, Billy and Mandy. Coming up next, Charlie and Lola. Coming up next, Bobby. Coming up next, Billy. Coming up next, Yakety Yak. Coming up next, Ruby Gloom. Coming up next, Irina. Coming up next, Erwin. Coming up next, The Marvelous Misadventures of Billy and Mandy. Coming up next, Summer Camp Aggie. Coming up next, The Grim Adventures of Wallace and Steven. Coming up next, Summer Camp Action. Coming up next, Margaret. Coming up next, Eileen. Coming up next, Mandy. Coming up next, Mindy. Coming up next, Wallace. Coming up next, Aggie. Coming up next, Steven. Coming up next, Vampire Hunter. Coming up next, Benjamin Guppies. Coming up next, Professor Knight. Coming up next, Snap. Coming up next, Happy. Coming up next, Snap. Coming up next, Happy. Coming up next, Snap. Coming up next, Happy.